shape, form, texture, and balance. They say they might not seem much on their own, but together they are part of almost everything we see and create. Now you need to understand that when we talk about element of design, this element comprises of what we call design. If you design anything, if you make any design, it's just a combination of several elements, right? There's no design that you do that will not contain one or two or more elements. So let's go. Like I said, one of the element is line, the second is shape, the third is form, the fourth is texture, and fifth balance. Let's look at it. Okay, please give me a moment. Okay, let's look at the first one, line. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, line. It says a line is a path that connects two or more points. A line is a path that connects two or more points. It can be fat, it can be thin, it can be wavy, it can be jagged. The list goes on. Every possibility gives the line a slight different feel. A line, when we talk about a line, we are talking about a path that leads from one point to another. You understand? We are talking about a path that leads from one point to another, from a point A to a point B. The path there is called line. So let's see an example. This is an example of a line. This is you can see the several points there. This is the first example of element of design. It's called line. It's called line. This is look at what I wrote here. This is line appear frequently in design. For example, in drawings and illustrations. They are also common in graphic elements like texture, patterns, and backgrounds. Line can be used in a more humble compositions too, for organization, emphasis, or just decoration. Now they are telling us the use of line, some of the use of line, some of the features of line, which is they say it can be used for emphasis, it can be used for organization to organize something, and it can be used for decoration. In the example below, lines have been used to create a flow chart. You see the example below, sha. Well, let's go on. The lines have been used to create a flow chart that guides the reader's eye from one element to the next. When working with line, pay attention to things like weight, color, texture, and style. This subtle quality can have a big impact on the way your design is perceived. Let's see look at this. We can see we can see this first one is a line, is a fat line. The line is fat. And we can see this curved one. We can see this one that is jagged, is not straight, it's just jagged. They still have, we all know there's one that is not in this place. They still have dash line that is dash 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 dash. That one too is an example of a line. It's an example of a line. Then see, look at that example that I read to you guys. Whereas a line can be used in a more humble composition to for organization, emphasis, or for just decoration. It says in the example, lines have been used to create a flow chart that guides the reader's eye from one element to the next. Look at it here. Are you guys getting me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Look at
Yes,
it here.
sir.
Look at it here. Look at the flow chart. You can see that the way you can see how the line went here. It was the line that was used to organize this flow chart such that it can guide your eye to read and understand it. You understand? For instance, we know that the Melissa Ramos, which is the CEO, then we have three people under her, which is the office manager, the buyer specialist, and the listing specialist. Then under the buyer specialist, there's two people under her, which is the lead buyer agent and the lead and the okay, and also the lead buyer agent. Then under listing specialist, there's just only one person, lead listing agent. But for office manager, there's nobody under her. Now, it was line that was used to properly distinguish the sections, the flow. So this is one example of what line can be used for. This is one example of what line can be used for. One example of what line can be used for. And like we know, um, so did we get like I said before, types of line we have, like they said here, they said we have, let me look for it. They say we have fat line, thin line, wave line, wavy line, or jagged line. They still have the line that is called dash dash dash. This dash line, that the way to represent it is just dash 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 dash. A line that there is always a cut in between. So these are types of line. So we'll now enter the second one. Let's enter the second one. The second one is shape. The second one is shape. The second one is shape. They say a shape is any two-dimensional area with a recognizable boundary. Now we need to understand firstly that a shape is just a combination of of two no of several lines, right? A shape is a combination of several lines. For instance, we know that a square is made up of four lines, four equal lines, right? A rectangle is made up of um, two opposite equal lines. It's made up of four lines. The two is equal, while the other two is equal. The two vertical one must be equal, while the two horizontal one must be equal. So shape, the very simple definition of a shape is the combination of several lines. We know that triangle is a combination of three lines, right? Combination of three lines. That is why it's called triangle, which entails three triangles. Triangles. But here they say shape is any two-dimensional area with a recognizable boundary. Now, Shapes are in two categories, right? Shape are in two categories. The first one is a geometric shape or a regular shape. A geometric shape or what? A regular shape, right? A geometric shape or a regular shape. The second one is an organic shape or is an organic shape is where the shapes are more freely formed, which is a free formed shape. A free formed shape. For geometric, another name for geometric is a regular shape. Another name for organic shape is a free formed shape. Are you guys with me?
Yes, sir.
We are.
You
Yes, we
guys
are
are very
listening.
beautiful, right? Any questions so far, or we are good?
We
We
are
are good.
good.
We are good. You can go on.
Okay, I guess we are still at the simple ones. Okay, look at the example now. The example of the two types of shape. The first one is the geometric shape, which is the regular shape, which is what we call the square, the triangle, the circle, other ones. Star is also a geometric shape because it's consistent. You understand? But if you look at the organic shape is not in a particular style of geometric shape. It has its own uniqueness. It has it, it has its own uniqueness, like I said. It has its own feel. You understand? Like, for instance, look at this apple shape. The thing is a free formed shape. Is a free form shape. Look at this heart shape. Look at this leaf shape. You understand? So the shape are always irregular. I think that's another name for organic shapes. Irregular. They are not they are not among the regular ones. Number one, look at what I wrote here, which is the uses of shape or the features of shapes. They say shapes are a vital part of communicating ideas visually. Shapes are a vital part of communicating ideas visually. Number two, they give images heft. They give images heft and make them recognizable. 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 We understand secret signs, symbols, and even abstract art largely because of shapes. That means we can understand um, an art or a design that has you can understand an abstract design or an abstract shape because an abstract art because there is shape, right? Because there is shape. The shapes help the shape normally help us in bringing interpretation. You understand? It helps us in bringing interpretation. When you see there are certain shape that you see, you just know the interpretation of the design. You understand? Like I can see, if they want to do more of, for instance, let me give an example. If they want to do more of, let's say, a wedding card or a wedding ceremony related flyer or a design, you tend to see this symbol of heart, which entails love, right? which entails love. You get. Um, I think this is it. There are other shapes too that is unique in its own way. That when you see it in a design, it helps you to further interpret the design. Number four, they say shapes have a surprising number of uses in everyday design. Shapes have a surprising number of uses in everyday design. In everyday design, they have, and if we look at, for instance, if we look at there are several brands today that that um that the way to know about that brand is when you see a shape. For instance, if we talk about Apple today, Apple is a brand, right? Apple is a brand. Apple is a brand, and when you see an apple, when you see the logo there, that Apple sign with a half cut by the side, you just know this is Apple. So is the more the days goes by, the more shape is being incorporated as bringing interpretation in our everyday design. Number five, they say they can help you organize or separate content, create simple illustrations, or just add interest to your work. For instance, in design, if you want to create, let's say if you want to make something, if you want to make a particular text as an emphasis, you can use shape. For instance, you can put that text in a shape for more emphasis or for less emphasis, for more emphasis or for less emphasis, depending on how the design is, right? Depending on how the design is, it helps you organize your design. It helps you organize your design. Like if we look at that flow chart, let's go back. If we look at that flow chart, where is it now? Look at this flow chart. You see the way they use rectangle here. You see the way they use rectangle here in bringing interpretation to this flow chart. So everything was in a box. Every text was in a box, right? Even this large board, this large board that the flow text is inside is also a shape. Is also a shape, a rectangle shape, right? It's
Yes.
also it's also a shape. So it helps in organizing your work. You see, in this shape now, it's not looking like as if is not looking like a it's not looking like something that you are projecting, right? So let's push let's push. Okay, let me now let me show you guys a picture of what I mean. Now look at it. Look where I said shapes have a surprising number of uses in everyday design. For instance, if you look at this message symbol is a combination of shapes, right? A combination of several triangle that fit in a rectangle format, which is inside a circle. You understand? We see this phone, this contact symbol that is like phone.
Yes.
You understand? Are you guys with me? Okay. You
Yes,
see
sir.
this
Yes.
contact symbol. I mean, yes, it's phone. Let's say phone symbol or contact or call symbol. You understand? So it's just a combination of different shapes combination of different shapes that is also in a shape, right? Even this stop is a combination of different different shapes. Even this illustration here, this female character illustration, is just a combination too of different shapes, whether regular shape or irregular shape, whether what's it called, what's the name of that shape, whether geometric shape or organic shape. So look at what I wrote here. They say shapes are important because they are the foundation of so many things. Learn to look for them in other designs. Now, one of the things I expect us to do is that even as uh, even as I am opening your eyes to several things in designs, you need to start, using your eyes and practicing what you've learned, right? Like, I know you guys are working. You guys normally goes out every day, so you can use your eye, like they said here. They said shapes are important because they are the foundation of so many things. They say learn to look for them in other designs. So when you go out, you see billboard. When you see billboard, you learn to be picking out shapes there. You find out that every design is just a combination of different shapes, whether geometric shape or an organic shape. They say learn to look for them in other designs, and soon you will start seeing them everywhere. So the world is full of shapes. So that's why it's called the basic, fundamental. This is the foundation. You understand? This is the found. In fact, the world is full of shapes. It's just a combination of shapes. Shebi, they say this earth is spherical. Everything, everything, everything has its own shape, whether regular shape or irregular shape. There is nothing that doesn't have a shape. Um, now look at look at this. Look at this. Look at this design here. For instance, if we want to, we can pick out like 10 shapes from here. 10. Like you can pick out 10 shape, whether regular shape or irregular shape. You can see the circle that is like, this that is on this cup, this fruit. I don't know that thing is tomato, right? It's tomato, right?
Looks like pizza.
It's an orange.
Okay, orange.
Be lime.
Yeah.
Lime.
Okay, somebody said
Or a
orange.
type of
Or
lemon.
orange.
Lime or lemon.
Somebody said orange. This one said lime. Me,
Mm,
I'm saying it's tomato.
okay. The shape are the same.
Yeah, yes, exactly. The shape are the same. So we can look inside the cup. We can see something like ice block, right?
Yes.
Yes. So
Yes.
we can see the cup is in a shape. You can see the water inside it. Something like the liquid inside it. It might not be water. The liquid inside it. You can see that is in a shape.
Yes.
Yes.
The cup too is in a shape.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, if we go to the text, we can see the circle. That one there is a shape.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. And we can um at the down part of the text, we can see the combination of those shape, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Even this monitor, even this monitor here, this computer device is a shape.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can pick out many shape here. You can pick out many shape here. Many. Wow, we don't have time. Let's run. Let's run. Let's run. Let's run. Okay, this one is still saying the same thing. Okay, let's run. Number three. Number three. Form. Number three, form. Form and shape is the same, except that form is must be in a 3D format. Do you understand me?
Yes, sir.
They say when a shape becomes 3D, we call it when a shape becomes 3D, we call it a form. Form makes up a variety of things in the real world, including sculptures, architecture, and other three-dimensional objects. Let me show you an example. This is an example. Hope you know this is a shape, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
This is a shape, except that it is in a 3D form.
Yes.
It, it is in a 3D form, right? So let's look at. They say, however, forms don't have to be three-dimensional shape. They can also be implied through illustration using techniques like light, shadow, and perspective to create the illusion of depth. I will explain this. They say, however, let me read it again. They say, however, form don't have to be 3D dimensional shape. Now, this is example of a 3D dimensional shape. This is it. Are you guys with me?
Yes.
Yes, we are.
A typical example of a 3D dimensional shape is this. Now, they are saying here that, however, forms don't have to be 3D, 3 dimensional, which is 3D shapes. 3 dimensional, the full meaning of 3D is 3 dimensional. They say, however, forms don't have to be 3 dimensional shapes. They can also be implied through illustration using techniques like light. They can also be implied through illustration using techniques like light, shadow, and perspective to create the illusion of depth. Let me show you an example. Now look at this. What's the difference between this and this? Now this one is 3D, right? This one is 3D. Now,
Yes.
if you watch this closely, this is just a combination of shape that one part is brighter, the other part is less brighter, the other part is dark. Some part is dark, some part is mid bright, some part is bright. So it created the illusion of a form. It created the illusion of a form. They said in two-dimensional design, form makes realism possible. Without it, renderings like the image below, which is a ball with highlights and shading, simply wouldn't be the same. See example of 2D. Now, if you look now, I want you guys to examine this thing. If you look at the down part, you see something like a dark light, right? A dark light. Are you guys seeing it?
Yes.
Yes. Which is it created the illusion. That light created the illusion of it being a form. So this is 2D. This is 2D. I want you guys to watch it well. Watch it well. Even if you look inside, if you look at the circle, there is a white something there. Something like bright light. I don't know.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. That's
Yes,
also
sir.
creating an illusion of a of a two. two-dimensional shape. They say in everyday composition, the purpose of form is the same, but on a smaller scale. For example, a simple shadow can create the illusion of layers or give an object a sense of place. Basic form can bring a touch of realism to your work, which is a powerful tool when used in moderation. It can be a powerful tool if you use it moderately. That's what they are saying here. For example, look at it. Now look at it. Are you guys seeing the are you guys seeing the form here? You are seeing that there's some part that is
Yes, sir.
dark. You can see that there's some part that is dark. Now, this shape that they wrote that mummy on top, that mom on top. If you look directly behind below it, there is a dark something there.
Yes, yes.
If you look at that sword, if
Like
you look at that
shadow.
sword,
Shadow.
now if,
Yes.
there is a shadow there. It's divided into there is a division of color, the brighter one and the less brighter one and the less bright one. Are you guys seeing it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yes, we can.
You can see it.
Now it
You can
makes
see it.
this real. It it brought a little form of realism. It brought a little form of realism. Let's run. Texture. Number 4, texture. Texture is the physical quality of a surface. The physical quality of a surface. Like form, it can be part of a three-dimensional object, as in the example below. A small prickling cactus in a shiny ceramic pot. Let's see. Are you seeing it? Did you guys see it? Are you guys seeing this thing?
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes, sir.
Are you seeing the
Yes, sir. I
texture?
can see.
Now, now I'll show you the difference. Look at this texture very well. Now, they now said, or it can be implied through illustration, suggesting that it would have a texture if it exists in real life. Now, look at this. This is the same thing, but look at the texture.
Okay.
Are you
Yeah.
seeing the texture? Look at this texture.
Yes.
This is an example of a texture. See another texture here. You can see the texture is different.
Yes, you can.
Yeah. This one looks more real.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes, this one
um,
is real.
this one example. I like the observation. This one is more real, while this one is in a
It's like looks like
cartoon-like,
animated.
yes, animated form. Yeah, exactly. They say in design, texture add depth. Are you seeing? See what texture does in a design. They say in design, texture add depth and tacticality to otherwise flat images. Objects appear smooth. Please off your mic. They say objects can appear smooth, rough, hard, or soft depending on the element at play. Depending on the element at play. Depending on the element at play. Like look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Now we are seeing this texture, right?
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes.
Now they say, look at what they say there. They say for beginners, look at you guys should see this now. They say for beginners, texture make great background image. They say texture make great background images and can add a lot of interest to your work. Look closely and you may find texture in unexpected places like distressed font and smooth, glossy, glossy icons. Now there are some I don't have example here. Okay, I have example here. I have example. But there are some fonts that you see that the texture is a little bit rough. There are some fonts you see the texture is smooth. There are some background you see the texture is smooth. There are some background you see the texture is rough. Like look at this my text. Look at this the texture of the background I'm using. You can see it's a little bit rough, right? The black background.
Yes.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is.
It's example of a texture. Now look at this example. Now you see that the use of a smooth background helped this design in bringing out the beauty in it. Now
Yes.
you need to understand the context of your design before knowing whether to use rough texture or a smooth texture. Now let me show you another one. They say just be careful not to go overboard. Too much texture in a simple design can quickly become overwhelming. Example, look at this. Now, is this thing nice?
No, sir.
No.
No, not at all.
Oh, it is very
Based on
annoying.
the context of this design, the designer here would have used a very smooth one, right? Like the way this one is, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So, so you can only know when to use a smooth texture or a rough texture. These include the fonts that you are using, right? Whether
Yes.
you should use a rough one or a or a smooth one. For instance, if you are so in tune with let's say movie covers, movie design covers. Let's say I'm not talking about homemade movie. I'm talking about action movie, war movies. You find out that the texture of their font is always rough, right? Huh?
Yes.
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 Yes,
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 sir.
they're
Find-
so the action.
yes. You find out that the texture of their font is always rough. As far as it is a war kind of movie. The texture of their font is always rough. So you need to understand the context of the design that you are doing so that you not just go overboard and become
Please, I can't hear anything. Oh, is what is happening? Is it from my end?
I don't think it's only you. I can't
Same
also.
here. We can't hear.
Maybe it's the internet is cut off or something. Has cut off. So let's just wait for him.
I can't hear too.
I can't hear too.
Let's wait now. Maybe something is
Let's
wrong
just
with
wait
his
for. I
end.
think the problem is a general problem.
Maybe his internet has issues.
Are we still here? I have to make sure I'm not the only one.
So are we supposed to keep waiting or
Please, somebody that really understand what has been going on. For those that didn't really join, can just recap what he's been teaching.
Okay, good evening. Um, Let me quickly answer what she just asked. I joined earlier. I joined from the beginning. So he was just talking about the fundamentals of designs. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Who is that person? Mute yourself now.
Okay. I said he was
Continue, I can hear you.
okay. He stated by
Omowomi, please mute yourself. I hope I
I'm
pronounced
sorry.
your
I'm
name.
sorry.
okay. Thank you. So today he started by telling us that we'll be learning fundamentals of design and particularly the elements of design. So he said that in design there are some basic elements and they include lines, shapes, form, texture, and balance. So he has explained line, explained shape, form, and he's currently explaining texture before I think it's his network that went off or something. So he said that we need to understand these fundamentals for us to be able to become good graphic designers. And he said that a design is not just he's okay, yes, he said that design is just a combination of several elements. All these elements that he has mentioned, line, shape, form, texture, and balance, that every design you see is just a combination of all these elements or some of them. That was why he gave example of a stop sign. He also gave example of this message icon. If you look at that message icon, I didn't know about this before, but as he talked about it, I took note of it. If you look at that message icon, even on your phone, messaging icon, you will see there is a combination of different triangles on a rectangle shape on a circle. Yes, it has it's made up of four different triangles having a rectangular shape on a circle. So he just telling us that the elements of design and design itself is a combination of different elements. He said that line is a part that connects two or more points, that the line can be fat, it can be thin, it can be wavy, it can be haggard, and the lines are used for different things. You can use line for emphasis, you can use line for visualization, you can use line for decoration. The example he gave was a chart. the chart. In that chart, line was used to organize. It was used to organize different categories of persons, starting from the CEO, the manager, and all that. So, and then he went further to explain his shape, so that his shape is any two-dimensional area with a recognizable boundary. Just like we were taught in mathematics now, we have different shapes. We have the triangle, we have the rectangle, we have the circle, and all that. So, but he said that in design, shapes are in two distinct categories: the geometric shape and the organic shape. That the geometric shape is a regular shape. You can as well call it plane shape, geometric shape, regular shape. That is the common shapes you see around us. You can have circle, you can have triangle, you can have rectangle, squares and all that. They are regular, they are consistent. That their shape is consistent. Wherever you see them, you recognize them. But we also have organic shapes. Those ones, they take their own feel. Like they have their own form. They are not regular, they are irregular, because it may appear this way now, but you can also, like, it's not consistent. That's the word he used. Yes, he said that the irregular shape, the organic shape, it has its own feel, it's not consistent, and he gave examples. Example of an apple, example of image of an apple. So he said that shapes are vital part in communicating ideas. Yes, you can use shapes to communicate ideas in designing. There are also other uses that he mentioned. He also talked about the messaging symbol. Okay, yes, it's a combination of many triangles. I've talked about that. So he listed the importance of shapes too, that they are the foundation of so many things, that shapes are the foundation of so many things. And he made us know that when we go out, maybe when you go out for work or anything, you should take time to look at different shapes that you see. That is when you take closer look at them, you'll be able to observe and then see that those shapes are made up of other shapes to form whatever design you see. So he talked about form, which is also an element of design. He said that when a shape becomes 3D, that 3D simply means three-dimensional. That when a shape becomes 3D, we call it a form. When a shape, whether plane, whether regular or organic shape, that when it takes a form of, when it becomes three-dimensional, that is when we call it a form. He said that a form makes up a variety of things in the real world. But he went for that to say that a form must not necessarily be three-dimensional, that it can also be implied. When he displayed an image of a heart that has the inscription "Mom" with knife piercing through it. We saw in that image that there was this area that was, it was not real, it was just implied because it was a shadow of what was on top. So that's a form that he talked about. And finally, where he was on before his network went off or something, was texture. He said that texture is the physical quality of a surface. Is a physical, even in our day-to-day activities, we come in contact with texture, both our hair texture, the texture of a material, of a clothes, the texture of a surface, or there are different textures. And also in design, I think it means the same thing, because he said that texture is a physical quality of a surface. Like form, it can be part of a 3D object. And he said that texture adds depth and tactility to otherwise flat images. Yes, texture is just it adds depth to an image. That is where he talked about that. And an image or a design can be rough, it can be soft, it can be, it's like the texture we add to our design can either make it look light or deepen it. The image where he showed us the example was and I think that's an advert that has the inscription "Contact us" and all those things. He first of all showed the one that was plain, that had a plain, a soft and a smooth texture. which was looking nice, and then he displayed another image that had a rough texture, and he asked us which one do we feel is more looking, which one do we feel is more presentable and more better. And in that particular state, in that particular design, the first one was preferable, where the texture was smooth, soft, and plain. So he made us to understand that in using texture, we have to understand the situation or the design we are into. Like, you don't just use any texture you feel like. You have to make sure you understand what you are designing in order to be able to know what texture you are to apply. So that's the much I can be able to recap now. If any other person has something else to add. Thank you.
Done pretty well.
In
Wow.
fact, you did a great job.
Wow.
I need to copy your notes.
Wow. Now you be second lecturer for you.
Someone, please share your notes.
Welcome.
Now cram you, they crammed it. See, as
We
a
need
teacher,
your notes.
Dave, you
Well
shocked
done.
you.
We need your
Thank
notes,
you
Samadina,
so much.
please.
I was even making notes from what you were saying. Thank you.
Can you imagine?
That's
Yeah, you did
serious.
well.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Actually,
So are we still waiting or we can leave?
I think we can leave now because it's already after 8.
It's 8 o'clock already. Okay. Have
If
a
there's any
beautiful night
message, you can communicate on this
on the group.
Telegram.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Good night.
Yeah, good
Good
night.
night, everyone. It's nice
Good
doing
night.
business with you.
okay. Sorry, as I was saying, good evening. Favor's network is actually giving him problems for this night. So what we're going to do now, we're just going to like write what we understood, just like Samadina has explained, what we understood from the class, right? Like 3 lines of what you understood. The same way we did it for the class yesterday. Write your name under it, just for attendance purposes. And then we're going to end the call for this night here because he isn't available. Tomorrow we'll start earlier and finish up today's topic and do tomorrow's topic. Is that okay?
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right.
Yes.
So
Yes.
please just write your what you understood and then your names under it. Yeah. Thank you. Good night. Thank you for attending
Right.
tonight's class. Yeah.